You will never be happy living your own will instead of His. You will never be happy if you decide to turn your back on God and go your own way and not follow Him. You will not be able to be happy. Serve God. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. That's the first thing. Second thing is this that we need to do. Lean not on your own understanding. Lean not on your own understanding. Has God ever asked you to do something and you don't understand why, and you don't understand how, and you don't understand all the details of it? When God called me to preach, first of all, my dad could not afford to send me to college. He just worked in a factory and didn't make very much money. We lived in a little house with, well, my dad built more rooms onto it, but it was just 2 or 3 rooms when I came into the world. We didn't have much. My dad could not afford to send me to college. I had to borrow money, and I got some grants, and I had to work my way through college. When I first got to Olivet Nazarene University, it was college then, it's now a university. When I first got there, I had $50 in my pocket, and I had some student loans. I had an old beat-up 56 Ford that I paid about $100 for. Drove it to college. Hoped it would make it there, and every time I went back home, prayed it would make it back home. I worked. I had to get a job in the cafeteria to earn my way through college. The first semester, a lot of the ideas that I had about college vanished away. I was from a big family in a little house. I thought college is going to be wonderful. I'm going to have my own room. No, I didn't. I was sharing it with 2 other guys. Sometimes they came in the middle of the night and made lots of noise. And I lived in a dorm where there was no carpet in the hallway, and the phone was out in the hall. And when I first got to college, I was so disillusioned. I thought things were going to be a lot different. The phone would ring in the middle of the night and wake me up. It wasn't what I was expecting it to be. I started working in the cafeteria and worked 33 hours the first week I was there, making about $1 an hour. Even back then, that wasn't very much money. But God brought me through 4 years of college and through seminary and through all these years in the ministry because of one thing. I didn't lean on my own understanding of things. If I had been just looking at it from a human standpoint, I'd have said, I don't think I can go to college. I won't be able to afford it. Or I don't think I can go to college because I haven't been that good a student in high school, and I probably won't even be able to finish college. But thank the Lord I did. I graduated, and you know, sometimes I even got the highest grade in the class. I didn't know that I could do that, and I couldn't have by myself, but God helped me. Trust in the Lord with all your heart is the first step, and the second one is do not lean on your own understanding. When God told Abraham to go to Mount Moriah and sacrifice his only son Isaac, it made no sense at all to him. Because he was an old man when Isaac was born, and God had promised, I'm going to give you a son, and your son is going to carry on your family line, and your seed is going to be the blessing for the whole world. And now he's saying, go and sacrifice him on a mountain? What sense does that make? Humanly, it makes no sense. But when he got there, and when God saw that he was willing to even go to the extent of sacrificing his own son, in whom all the promises for his family lay, right at the last moment, God stopped Abraham. He said, now I know that you trust me because you were willing to give your own son. You're willing to sacrifice your son because you trusted me so much. God provided a ram in the bush so that he could sacrifice that instead of his son. God always provides. I believe with all my heart the old saying, it sounds like a platitude, but I believe it. When God guides, he provides. If God is leading you to do something, he will help you to do it. Follow him. Be obedient. You won't be happy unless you do God's will. So lean not on your own understanding. The reason we should not lean on our own understanding is because our understanding is very limited compared to God's wisdom. How many believe that? We shouldn't have too much trouble believing that. I don't. As often as I forget things and make mistakes and do things wrong. I was coming down to the church the other day to do something, and I went back home twice to pick up things that I'd forgotten. And when I got to the church, I'd still forgotten something else. We cannot see the future. Do you believe God can? We do not have omniscience, which is all knowledge. God is all-knowing. But God does. We are not omnipotent, which means all-powerful. But do you believe God is? God is omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. So He can see into the future. He knows everything. And He's all-powerful. And so if God asks you to do something, He's going to help you to do it. And He has the ability to help you to do it. Sometimes other people might ask you to do things that you can't do. That's why I don't go to somebody and shove a Sunday school book in their face and say, we need a Sunday school teacher. We have to have you teach Sunday school because we just don't have anybody else. That's not the way Sunday school teachers should be selected. Sometimes they have to be because people that have the gift and have the ability might not be willing to do it. But it should be a matter of, this is what God wants me to do, and that's why I'm doing it. I'm doing what I do because God called me to do it. And so, do not lean on your own understanding. The third thing that we're supposed to do in this verse is, in all your ways acknowledge Him. The first thing is trust in the Lord with all your heart. If you want to know God's will and do God's will, you have to trust God. Lean not on your own understanding. That's the second thing you have to do if you're going to do God's will, because sometimes you won't understand why God is leading you to do something or why He's asking you to do something. But if you will just trust Him, when you know that this is His will, make sure you know it's God's will. But once you know God is calling you or telling you to do something, you can do it with confidence, knowing that God's going to help you. And the third thing is, in all your ways acknowledge Him. God wants to walk with you throughout your life. He wants you to walk with your hand in His throughout your life. Are you willing to do that? Do you want to have that kind of a life? Walking with the Lord, doing His will, following His guidance? God wants to walk with you. He wants to guide you. What does it mean to acknowledge Him in all your ways? Do you pray before meals? See a few heads nodding. I hope everybody does that. You pray before meals, don't you? Yes. Little boy went to his friend's house and they all just started eating and he was used to praying. And he said, he didn't, you know how little kids are just kind of straightforward and honest. He said, y'all just dig right in just like my dog does. Dog doesn't pray before he eats. He just starts gobbling the food down as fast as he can. And the little boy thought these people were just like the dog. They were just digging right in. They weren't thanking the Lord for their food. But he was used to thanking God for the food. Somebody might say, well, I bought that food. I went to work and I got money and I bought that food. But who provided the job? Oh, my employer did. You know, you can plant a seed, but you can't make it grow, even if you water it. God does that. God provides everything that we have, whether we recognize it or not. Everything comes from Him. God is the provider. So we acknowledge Him in all of our ways by thanking Him for our food. Just think all kinds of things like that. When you get ready to make a purchase, especially a large purchase, do you consult God? Do you ask for God's will? If you were going to change jobs, would it be important that it be God's will for you to do that? Or would you just look at, this is a promotion and I'm going to get more money, so it must be God's will? I've heard of people that got an opportunity for a job in another city and it was a real glowing, bright-looking future for them. And they said, oh, I'm going to make more money. I'm going to live in this other city. This is going to be so exciting. But you know something? If it's not God's will, you won't be happy and you won't be fulfilled. If you're doing it just for the money, if you're going to do God's will, sometimes